I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm going to give you a few useful tips for bootstrapping, or how to create something using your existing resources, which is time, effort, who knows. So let's get started. Bootstrapping is the act of funding a business out of your own pocket. Now look, that doesn't mean you have to do that forever, but it is the very earliest stages. It could be whatever it takes to lead you towards that first product, proving your concept, creating a minimally viable product, also known as an MVP. And that's something now, by the way, I don't like the term MVP. I like MLP, minimally lovable product. But getting your business to the point where other people want to put in money and they want to invest in it. Every business that exists today, no matter how big or how small, was once a startup, meaning they had day one at the company and it was probably a roller coaster. Most companies start with next to nothing. It is very rare for a well-capitalized startup. It's almost an oxymoron. It just doesn't really happen on day one. Why? Well, it's because you haven't proven your model yet, so you have to figure out how to get started. Look at Apple. You can watch the stories of Apple. It was in a garage for years before someone came along, funded it, and helped it get off the ground. Let's talk about how you're going to bootstrap your business and get it started today. If you're still on the fence about whether or not to bootstrap your business, here are a couple things that you could consider. First off, if you bootstrap the business at an early stage, you're going to have full ownership as opposed to full accountability. Now, full ownership means you're going to own all of it. You're not going to have to sell a part of it to another investor or a partner or a co-founder. You are going to own all of it, which means you may reap the benefits from all that down the road. Now, I mentioned having full accountability. If you're going to take someone else's money as an investor in your business, that means you don't own all your business anymore. And you're going to have a level of accountability and reporting, as well as probably achieving some type of expectations, goals, or timelines for your partners. So that's a very important thing to consider if you are on the fence about bootstrapping. Now, when it comes to bootstrapping your business out of your own pocket and you're comparing full ownership to full accountability, you're also going to have full liability. You have all the risk. You are assuming 100% of the win or the loss. And that's something you should consider. I've seen a lot of people dive into things and put a lot of money and make a lot of commitments when they didn't have any kind of plan or they didn't do the right kind of research. And that is an excellent way to get yourself upside down, to end up spending a whole lot of money on something you probably shouldn't have spent any money on at all. Now, risk versus reward. You have to make these decisions. I can't tell you whether it's right for you. And honestly, I'm not allowed to because I'm not a licensed financial advisor. So you have to make the decision as to whether or not you can take on that risk and you're comfortable with it. So any bootstrap business lacks resources, and that can actually be an advantage for the long term when it comes to your business, because you are going to be forced to learn how to do things efficiently and with less people, which can keep you lean and can keep you moving. We are currently in a golden age of automation. You can automate everything from social media marketing to invoicing, any of it. If you can dream up an action, you can pretty much automate it. And there are a ton of platforms that can help you do that. One of my favorites is called Zapier, Z-A-P-I-E-R. And Zapier exists to be a bridge to all of the different stuff that you need to use. Now with that, you can daisy chain and link together a whole lot of free or minimalist type services in a very automated way using Zapier. You can connect it to Google Calendar, Gmail. I mean, there's just so many things that you can begin to create a scalable model around, and you can do it all for free in most cases. You just have to look for it. Let's begin to collaborate. There is a world of people out there looking for something to do. That's right, looking for something to do, often entrepreneurial. It is not hard to find these people. They're out there doing a bunch of stuff. So if you want to build a product, you're going to need to find people that have materials, designers, any of that. That's a good place to start. Same thing with software development. There are a ton of people to collaborate with. You are going to have to try and figure out how to help them move their business forward or do something that benefits them, or maybe just pay them on a small piecemeal basis, or just say, hey, look, maybe we both win. Let's give it a shot. Let's try it out. But collaboration is a great form of bootstrapping. If you are willing to give up a part of your business in exchange for expertise, input, time, labor, all of it, well, that's a form of bootstrapping too, because you are creating something out of what you have in hand. Now, this isn't for everyone, and there is a science behind equity swaps. I find that most people are really, really bad at it. There is an app and a website called Slicing Pie that you might want to check out that actually will vest equity earning partners or employees in based on certain activities. That's something you might want to check out. It's a good way to fairly split equity. If you choose this route, please, please, please make sure that you don't undervalue your equity and that you do in fact want to have partners. If you have people that have equity in your company, that they're harder to get rid of than a husband, a wife, or a partner. So make sure that you're comfortable having partners before you start doing this. And also make sure you understand and feel comfortable with the value that you're assigning to your equity. Meaning, don't give away 40% of your company for $10,000 worth of web development services. Or if your company's only worth, if you think your company's only worth that much, you might want to pick a different idea because you're not going to end up with much in the end. But don't lock yourself into agreements that are hard to get out of, or don't make provisions for what happens if that person doesn't live up to what you're hoping to get out of them. If you're bootstrapping your company, you're going to have to figure out how to do things cleanly and efficiently all the way down the timeline, or take investor money. Now, I mentioned earlier about an MVP or an MLP, meaning like a minimally viable or a minimally lovable product. Your goal is to literally do just that. Create only the minimal viability, meaning only the things that make the core platform or product go. Don't worry about all of the bells and whistles that go with it. You're simply trying to prove a concept. Now, if you get to the point of MLP or MVP, then you can use all kinds of micro testing. You want to head back to those same groups where you were looking to collaborate with people, ask your friends, ask your family, ask anyone in the industry to try your product and give the best input they can about whether or not it is valuable for that use. If it's software, go find companies that may want to test it. Now, look, you don't have to get money for this. You don't need to be worried yet about the subscription revenue, because if you're trying to get someone to pay you for your MVP product, it better be pretty good, and you're going to have a tough time doing it because you're going to have a mile of obstacles to climb over. So instead, you want users, you want people that will either hold and use the product or try the software or do any of it and give you honest, candid feedback about what you need to do to truly make it viable in the modern marketplace. All right, one last bootstrapping tip. Let's say you've made it through the MVP, you're getting it out there. You need to conduct market research regularly. Look, this can be as easy as Googling and looking for other people that are doing what you're doing, seeing who the competitors are, which, by the way, you probably should have done before you started all this. But you need to keep your finger on the pulse of the industry. What are people looking for? What are they asking for? Now, look, in the process of creating and doing market research, you can find users and customers, but you have to get out there and look for it. You have to look for people that have the problem that you want to solve. Hopefully all these tips were useful and you find a way to bootstrap your business into the next big thing. There are a bunch of different ways you can bootstrap. I wanted to keep it short and to the point here today. If you want to learn more about what we do at Startup Hustle and Full Scale, click the links in the show notes. See you next time.